Why does your life feel so heavy, even when nothing is technically wrong? What if I told you it isn't because life is hard, but because you're caring about things you were never meant to control? Once upon a time, the most powerful man in the world wasn't chasing pleasure, he was chasing purpose. Marcus Aurelius had everything most people spend their lives chasing: power, wealth, status. He could have drowned himself in luxury, endless wine, entertainment, distractions. But he didn't. Instead, he chose discipline. He chose clarity. He chose to live by something deeper. He believed his role wasn't to indulge, but to serve, to show up, do his duty, and live with integrity. And here's the part most people miss. To truly focus on what matters, you have to stop caring about a lot of things that don't. That idea sits at the heart of Stoic philosophy. Another Stoic teacher, Epictetus, explained it simply. There are things you can control and things you can't. And almost everything that stresses you out falls into that second category. Now, think about your daily life for a second. How much time do you spend worrying about what people think of you, about whether things will go your way, about outcomes you can't guarantee? That's where most of your mental energy is going. Not into action, but into worry. And the more you do that, the draineder you feel without actually moving forward. Now, does that mean you should stop caring about life altogether? No, it means you should stop wasting your energy fighting things you were never meant to control in the first place. Because the truth is, a lot of the pain we feel isn't coming from life itself, it's coming from our attachment to things we can't control. Think about it. When life hurts, it's often because we've handed over control. We let other people's opinions affect us. We let outcomes define us. We let uncertainty scare us. And then we feel like life is pulling our strings. But what if we're the ones holding those strings? What if the moment we stop caring about those things, they lose their power over us? For Marcus Aurelius, this mindset wasn't just philosophy, it was survival. He was leading an empire, facing wars, dealing with constant pressure, and yet he trained himself to stay calm by focusing only on what he could control. For Epictetus, this way of thinking meant freedom, and for you, it could mean peace, focus, clarity, maybe even a completely different way of living. So the real question is, what are you holding on to that you need to let go of? And how do you actually do that? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. Let's break it down the same way Marcus Aurelius did: the future, the past, and the present. First, the future. There's a reason Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Because when it comes to the future, your mind doesn't just think, it creates. Worst case scenarios, what if situations, fear of the unknown. You play out things that haven't happened and probably never will. Think about how often this shows up in real life. You're waiting for a reply to a message and your mind starts saying, "Did I say something wrong?" You have a job interview coming up and suddenly you're imagining yourself messing everything up. Or maybe you're thinking about your finances and your brain jumps straight to losing everything. But the truth is, none of that is real right now. It only exists in your mind. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He reminded himself that it's not the future that weighs us down, it's how we think about it today. You're not suffering because of what will happen, you're suffering because of what your mind is imagining might happen. And the more you dwell on it, the more power it has over your present. So what's the solution? He kept it simple. Don't let the future disturb you, because if you can handle today, you can handle tomorrow. The same strength you're using right now will still be there when the future arrives. Now, the past. Let's be honest. How often do you replay moments in your head? Things you regret, things you wish you said differently, mistakes you can't undo. Maybe it's something small, like an awkward conversation you can't stop thinking about, or something bigger, like a relationship that ended, a business that failed, or a decision you wish you could take back. But here's the reality. The past is gone. You can't change it, you can't fix it, you can't go back. And yet, we keep visiting it over and over again. Marcus Aurelius said something powerful. We don't live in the past or the future, we live in this moment, right now. That's it. And still, we let the past control how we feel today. We relive pain. We reopen wounds. We carry things that don't exist anymore. Why? Because part of us believes that if we think about it enough, we can somehow change it. But that's an illusion. You're trying to control something that's already gone. Instead, Marcus Aurelius focused on something different. Not what happened, but how he responded to it. Because you can't control the past, but you can control the meaning you give it. Maybe something painful happened to you, but maybe that experience also made you stronger, more aware, more resilient. Think about it. Some of the strongest people you know didn't become strong because life was easy. They became strong because life forced them to grow. The past doesn't define you unless you let it. Finally, the present. This is where everything happens. This is the only place you have any real power. And yet, it's also where we struggle the most, because life doesn't always go the way we want. You're stuck in traffic when you're already late. Someone disrespects you at work. Plans you were excited excited about suddenly fall apart, and your first reaction? Frustration, anger, stress, overthinking. But Marcus Aurelius believed something most people don't want to accept. You don't control what happens. You control how you respond. That's it. You can't stop bad things from happening. You can't control other people. You can't force life to go your way. But you can choose your response. And that choice changes everything. Because when you stop fighting reality, you stop adding extra suffering on top of what already is. Instead of reacting instantly, you pause. You ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is no, you let it go. Not because it doesn't matter, but because holding on to it is hurting you more than helping you. There's also something else he warned about. Not just resisting the present, but clinging to it. Getting so attached to what you have that you're afraid to lose it. Like holding on to a relationship that isn't right, or constantly worrying about losing success, money, or status, because that creates the same problem. You're still giving control to something outside yourself. So what's the balance? Appreciate what you have, but don't depend on it for your peace. At the end of the day, life isn't about controlling everything around you. That's impossible. It's about mastering what's within you, your thoughts, your actions, your choices. That's where your power is. And when you focus on that, you stop feeling like life is happening to you and start living like it's happening through you. So if life has been feeling heavy lately, maybe it's not because there's too much going on. Maybe it's because you're carrying things you were never meant to carry in the first place. Let go of what you can't control. Focus on what you can, and watch how your life begins to feel lighter, clearer, and a lot more peaceful. Thanks for watching.